deep breath, he sat back down and looked her in the face. All of a sudden, his face was calm. In fact, the man's face had so clearly changed that the woman was quite taken aback. She looked down and stared at her hands clenched on her lap. The man who had worried about time didn't wait for the woman to look up. "Now look," he started. No longer muttering, he sounded collected and together. But as if she was actively trying to stop short his next words, the woman said, "Why don't you just go?" She didn't look up. The woman who wanted an explanation now refused to hear it. The man sat motionless, as if time itself had stopped. "It's time for you to go, isn't it?" she said, as petulantly as a child. He looked at her, perplexed, as if he didn't understand what she meant. As if she was aware of how childish and unpleasant she sounded, she uncomfortably averted her eyes from the man and bit her lip. He rose from his seat and spoke to the waitress standing behind the counter. "Excuse me, I'd like to pay," he said in a small voice. The man tried to grab the bill, but the woman's hand was pressing down on it. "I'm going to stay a bit longer, so I'll pay," was what she meant to say. But he had pulled out the bill from under her hand with ease and was walking to the cash register. "Together, thanks." "Oh, I said leave it." Not moving from her chair, the woman reached out her hand to the man. But the man refused to look at her. He pulled out a 1,000-yen note from his wallet. "Keep the change," he said, as he handed the waitress the note together with the bill. The man turned his face filled with sadness to the woman for a split second as he picked up his bag and left. Clang dong. "And that happened 1 week ago," said Fumiko Kiyokawa. Her upper body flopped into a heap on the table like a deflating balloon. As she collapsed, she somehow avoided spilling the coffee cup in front of her. The waitress and the customers seated at the counter who had been listening to Fumiko's story looked at each other. Before Fumiko had finished senior high school, she had already mastered 6 languages. After graduating top of her class from Waseda University, she joined a major medical-related IT firm in Tokyo. By her 2nd year at the firm, she was already directing numerous projects. She was the epitome of the smart, career-driven woman. Today, Fumiko was dressed in ordinary business attire, a white blouse and black skirt and jacket. Judging by her appearance, she was on her way home from work. Fumiko's looks were better than ordinary. Blessed with well-defined features and petite lips, she had the face of a pop idol. Her mid-length black hair shone and crowned her with a glowing halo. Despite her conservative clothes, her exceptional figure was easy to discern. Like a model from a fashion magazine, she was a beautiful woman who would draw anyone's gaze. Yes, she was a woman who combined intelligence and beauty, but whether she realized this was a different matter. In the past, Fumiko hadn't been one to dwell on such things. She had lived only for her work. Of course, this didn't mean she had never had relationships. It's just that they never had the same allure for her as work. "My work is my lover," she would say. She had turned down approaches from many men, as though flicking away specks of dust. The man she had been talking about was Goro Katada. Goro was a systems engineer, and like Fumiko, he was employed by a medical company, though it wasn't a major one. He was her boyfriend. He was her boyfriend, and 3 years her junior. They had met 2 years ago via a client for which they were both doing a project. 1 week ago, Goro had asked Fumiko to meet for a serious conversation. She had arrived at the meeting place in an elegant, pale pink dress.